Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. So you can see I exited out the game and you have this animation that is slowly moving, although honestly I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't really just moving between a few frames of animation as her head tilts one direction or the other on the right. And you can see she has the elbow pad and the glove and the tattoo on her arm, and all of that is just missing completely in the uh, in the actual presentation at the moment. We have the elbow pad and the glove. We don't have the tattoo. Uh, and it is kind of just funny that the resume game pause screen here is part of your map menu. And because I've been missing it and certainly trying to find it for the past two episodes. You can also see you have commercials in the loading menu for Origin Access, which, like, that kind of sucks. It was a pretty fast load, I'll say. So there's something to be said about that. Um, I feel like you either set your waypoint for the story point or you do another dash. Let's do a little warm up dash here. Alright. So this is just a race, and it doesn't seem like there's much of anything here. Uh, in a lot of ways, it seems like this is really just a race around an area with nothing really special happening here. I believe that gate was open, so I just wasted time. Specifically running, jumping over that. And then there's a real question, I suppose, as far as just, can you reach the location at all? Now remember, they said the dashes are basically not important. Number one, doing this in 12 seconds and 53 seconds sounds like cheating, but maybe there is actually a way to do it. So instead of following the runner vision this time, now that we know where we're going, let's see if there is possibly a better path that you could run through here. Like when you hit that pit, does that potentially take up a lot of time? Does running up here potentially set you on a path towards reaching the final location? Like, where is it? Like, I'm about to fall to my death in this tiny little area. Let's ask, like, how much did we miss? And I guess inside this dash you can just steal chips, if that's all you're gonna really do. Alright. So where were we supposed to go? Because it kind of felt like we weren't too far off. And you have an interesting point here where you could start a race at any level, pretty much, and then use the race as a way to reset your position. Let's see. I assume resetting there isn't going to undo you finding the collectibles. So you could just always start this dash and then wander around. Like, all we have right now is the roll. And see, it wanted us to go this way. And then through this way. And yeah, that was an unlocked area. And this was my concern, certainly, though, is that you were gonna kind of like constantly enter areas, and in finding those areas you will find some collectible, and in finding that collectible you'll get distracted and not really be able to race. So yeah, that doesn't particularly feel like that is the good ending. Alright, so let's find on the map where this is. Zoom out, spin around. You have a problem, certainly, here. Okay. It's not showing you where the map starts. The dash starts here. If you were to go this direction, you would have to have a swing to run to that. Otherwise, you've got to run this way. So, this still takes a little bit to reset everything. I suspect the goal here is probably to... Oh, I am not using this right, am I? Barely get under that. So you could run straight. But I don't think that actually is probably your best move. It definitely doesn't feel like there's a way to do this, though, if you've got to run this direction. Alright. So we got a new best time. Let's just hit B and leave. Yeah, you almost certainly are going to need a way to swing with the grip for some of these dashes. It does paint an interesting weirdness. Here we have nighttime, which the city definitely feels different in nighttime, and there's something to that. Is the security chip something that would turn off these cameras? Doesn't feel like it. Like, so it does make this weird scenario where you potentially are going to just want to skip a lot of the races and a lot of the runs until you have some better way to to reach places. Some of these sound effects feel like they should probably be a little bit, maybe louder is the wrong word, but more prevalent. Just more obnoxious from further distances. Yep. And it definitely feels like I have hit a wall on the map here, where this building maybe in some story mode will connect to the Bobble Mall. Otherwise, doesn't feel like there is a way to make a jump from that spot to from here to over there to over there. And that might make a scenario where some of these pathways also are going to be fairly less useful. And there might be a north, east, south, and west side of a building that you can run on, but that would be it. Is this a hackable billboard? Doesn't look like it. If anything, it feels like the security cameras are still approving you, so maybe at some point later in the game the security cameras will get an upgrade and they will realize that you're not who you appear to be in the sensors. Definitely feels like it would be fairly hard to find all of these chips without there being maybe some guidance or just straight up marking things on the map. Let's see. Messenger girl, head back to see Birdman. I guess we could... That is labeled as a side mission, so let's do it. Let's...
Elysium Labs is one of the taller buildings. You should see their logo on the side.
Like...
Way there already? Let's see if you can catch up.
Okay. Well, oddly going back to see Birdman for the main story quest, which is a side quest, so I'm a little confused as to what's going on. I believe this is where we had already found the briefcase. You can definitely feel how there would be a potential danger here in which you would spend too much time going through the same paths over and over again. Birdman has a delivery run for you. These form the backbone of the runner trade, and it's simple and effective way to deliver information while avoiding conglomerate scrutiny. Conglomerate, I assume, is just all of the businesses that seem to own the cities.
No matter how good you actually are. It's a bit silly, all this peacocking and posturing.
Of course, this cutscene looks pretty bad in the dark.
And you did good time, too. One thing left and we're done.
Noah said something about a delivery?
Bread and butter about trade. I happen to have a small package I need dropped off. You can pick it up over there.
Yeah. It definitely feels like the cutscene should jump to
Packages over
daytime.
there. I'd love to see it lit today.
Alright. So this may very well have been the first delivery you were supposed to do.
Linked, so you should see the delivery point on your map. I remember when you had to make do with an address and what was in your own damn head.
Being able to potentially slide, even if you're failing a lot of times when you jump, definitely feels like an advantage. But it also feels like this pole climbing aspect would probably do better if I had... Sliding slows you down apparently, so you may want to jump instead. That was a very easy run compared to the other one I did.
The package has been delivered, Faith. Seems to me you're as ready as you'll ever be. And yes, I too have a beat link now. Prefer not to use it much. You never can tell who's listening in.
And it feels like here you have another person who would just give you a quest at that moment, but isn't. So then you are here, and you could go and set this waypoint and do another delivery, or you could try and move the story forward. I think it's probably better just to move the story forward. Yeah, that would be, I think, my preferred method to all of this. Notice how they have a place here where you could fall and not die immediately to fall damage. A lot of flying cars and flying vehicles. So it makes me wonder if, like, there will be at some point a ability to hover and swing on the flying vehicles. I definitely feel like runner's vision is better explained in this than it was in the first version of Mirror's Edge, where it was basically explained away as it was explained away as simply skill and mental aspects.
I'm lucky you came by.
Instead of being like some kind of technology thing. And these interventions we'll want to do, but I think they may very well just be randomly generated content, and it's very possible that there is not a significant enough amount of reward for doing
To reiterate, Faith, you need to make your way to the
these
agricultural division at Elysium. Use the shotgun on a jumper
interventions.
over there and then get out.
Because, like, if we just got, let's see, 100 points, and it's going to take us maybe 1,000 points per upgrade, grinding out that way and doing 10 extra interventions very possibly is not worth the effort, amongst other quests that will probably give you enough experience anyways to unlock abilities. We know some of the abilities are specifically locked behind story mode, so the grapple ability regardless of whether you grind it out doing side missions, still wouldn't really be available to you. We're just looking everywhere and following the red line.
Hey, over here.
It is fairly brain dead gameplay if you wanted to look at it that way, in which you could just constantly follow the red line and not really know anything. Right, so I'm gonna start this quest down here. He's gonna start up here. We're going to then keep separate. I really have to question whether having that extra stamina bar is helping me, because it seems like it resets on any fall or any loss of flow, as it were. And I don't know if it increases the amount of damage, for instance, when you run into bad guys, which we're not running into too many bad guys. This is an interesting area because of just how much stuff there is to jump over. So we might start to see more areas like this where they never really intended you to climb in that area, or they may even make areas like this so that other players could make challenges to, say, jump up to the top of this scaffolding when the regular game would never require something that convoluted or difficult. See, Noah's tasked with breaking into the Elysium Labs, where you are to steal data for a new type of enzyme wanted by one of their competitors. So it's not like a single corporation owns the governments, although it seems like multiple conglomerates of are basically running the government, and they're not beyond stealing from each other in corporate espionage ways. I wouldn't even be surprised if there actually is some small figurehead weak government in this universe that is just like pretends to be a democratically elected organization, but in reality it is just going to be a figurehead for oligarchs who are in charge of everything. Icarus is to watch from outside, making sure all goes well. You have a shotgun with you, and a one-off hacking tool that you will need to place in the right console. The software inside will handle the rest. This is your first real mission, and the script should be good. Small step toward paying off your debt to Dogen. It's funny that they call it a shotgun, because that certainly, in bold, makes it feel like all of a sudden you're going to be handed a actual shotgun. And that's not what we want to see in Mirror's Edge Catalyst. That we didn't even want to see the guns in Mirror's Edge 1. I hope we can go this entire game and we're never given the opportunity to hold a gun. It'd be so easy for her to say she's just a pacifist or something, or I'm not going to shoot people.
So it seems this is your lucky night.
Why?
I found an open
But-
window for you. Easy way inside.
That doesn't sound right. Is there
They should have just thought of a
Who knows?
different
Want to abort? I'd be more comfortable going in myself anyway.
What is that?
a
supposed
different
to
name for it.
Bet you have a rep is all. But go ahead. Prove it wrong. Make us some script.
You have a... They should call it something like a auto hack, just in the name explain it. Now, if this really is going to take aspects of the first game, then this very possibly
Heard about the open window.
is going to be
Cleaner forgot.
a booby trap.
So, be careful. Not her specialty, is it? Being careful. Do your part and let Faith do hers. Already doing it. I've ripped the
Here
line
you
from
have
the window
a
for you.
way
Just slide across.
you can climb into, which is interesting. It's a little early, though, to be walking into a booby trap. and having like
I'm in.
having the rest of the game be a chase
Good.
sequence.
There might be a few employees around burning the midnight oil. And keep an eye out for Kruger's sec.
Like, the employees don't seem to even take notice to you. And they honestly seem to be more willing to pretend like you don't exist. I wouldn't be surprised in this kind of dystopian reality if they haven't been specifically trained and instructed to not react.
I got plenty of commotion below. An exec motorcade arriving. Enforcers everywhere. What? I'm liking this run less and less. You'll like it better when we're done, Noah. Yeah.
And as we move forward in this pattern, there is definitely a question as to whether that's triggering the audio.
Fastest way up is to use the elevators.
Runner's vision is connected, press right, hold right to go online. When did I turn that off? How did I turn that off? Like, clicking the right stick does not turn off runner's vision. So, but holding the right stick does turn it on. So I must have just gone inside a more shielded area. We can hear them talking about Kruger, but we're not really seeing him. It's like very far away. And this is probably a point where going the third person perspective would make a little bit more sense. Instead of committing to always being first person perspective. And to jump off of that, I had to press the left trigger and not the right bump to jump. I had to press left trigger to actually run or drop. This glass architecture, I assume, is not like designed so more people can be seen climbing through these kinds of ladder.
3 days ago, Mr. Kruger.
It will be seen to anything else?
Actually, yes. Yesterday I happened on a project.
So I assume they're in the elevator under here.
Some of the ethical implications of what I found were troubling.
What goes on in Kingdom has no concern of you with it.
Mr. Kruger, I was promised full oversight, and from what I can see, their research pertains to what we use here.
If you value the position, even that.
Understood, sir. I'm happy to report that we finalized the grid link transfer, and everything's now on track for launch.
Excellent. Stick to your parameters, Director. I'm sure you will go far. The board is following our progress with great interest, and I cannot overstate the importance of a
We want to listen to the story. So it sounds like they've got this Project Kingdom and it having something to do with the grid link. I wouldn't be surprised
And
if
I think Gabriel Kruger is here.
What? We should abort the run.
No, I'm finishing this.
it'd be funny if you could fight him or kill him right now.
Stop you anyway. Icarus, keep us updated on any changes outside.
It'd be an interesting twist to the first game if she actually just kills him and he is actually just a bad guy. But from what I would guess, Kingdom is probably a project to use GridLink to straight up brainwash people. You know, it definitely also feels like there's sometimes you jump a lot further than other times. Doesn't feel fully consistent. as to the movement tech. This is movement tech, though, that desperately needs to be improved upon.
Doing in bed with the Mortel family in Elysium. The less we know about that, the better. Information is power, Noah. For some.
Right. So we're gonna have to work our way around. This runner vision effectively is indicating that they have incredibly good mapping software to know where things,
Is grabbing while I babysit her?
as far as where
Some sort of nutritional
air
enhancer
vents
who
go.
wants it. Yeah? So they're making a power bid against Elysium. And paying good script to do so.
Of course, the Elysium Fields are like an afterlife heaven, Greek heaven, which are depicted as being fruitful, I would assume. But I also wouldn't be...
Good. Connect any terminal in workroom 4H. The shotgun will do the rest.
So apparently the runner's vision does go offline in certain buildings, in certain areas. So I don't have a runner's vision here. Instead I have to just opt to figure it out myself.
Here, look. It's a recorder. I'm making a diary of sorts for you of our trip.
Are we leaving soon? I feel better.
We are, but it's a long way to Aurora, and we need to prepare properly so that we don't just end up.
Of course, the audio here is way louder
I wonder if it's really
on the
that
recording.
terrible out there.
To be honest, Avani, it's probably worse. But we're gonna be fine.
What are we gonna do when we get to Aurora?
What we do here, we'll run. And you'll run too, but it's better there. Anywhere is better than glass.
I look forward to it. I'm gonna be as good as you someday.
You'll be better.
4H, Faith. Shouldn't be too hard to find.
So I got further to the window, and then all of a sudden the runner vision let me re-establish, and the game itself is telling me to hurry up. So it's even getting impatient with me. This is an interesting level design concept, certainly, though, to have buildings and rooms that are really just walls instead of having a whole bunch of solid walls. You really would need something like runner's vision in any game like this. Otherwise, it would be very distracting to just assume you could come to a door and you could hack this door, and inside this door might be an office or a hallway. Like, and that's not what we were aiming for either. Going down feels a little awkward. And here you have a hologram of either a plant or a brain stem. Take your pick. I wouldn't be surprised if each of these corporations have some nefarious plan and plot to enslave people or turn people into food. These plants don't look particularly well animated. Maybe it's the lighting and it being nighttime, or maybe it's just that there's a little too much texture here. That is something that you probably won't see much of in this game, so they probably didn't put a lot of effort into it as far as greenery. But this also might be the full quest of the game, is that we're going to turn Glass City into a Garden of Eden type of place where you could potentially grow your food. I'd almost assume that it's illegal to grow your own food. All food is highly regulated and sold by 2 or 3 corporations. And if you have a poor social credit score or something, then you are given very low quality food or no food and starved to death.
At the firing the shotgun.
Yeah.
Successful grab confirmed.
Just call it an auto hack.
There's someone else here. Doesn't look like a runner.
Faith, just get out of there.
Sorry. But I'm gonna check it out.
Of course you are. I'll just sit here then, hoping you get out in one piece. And if it's me, it isn't. Faith, you don't have to prove anything to me. I want you back here alive and safe, okay?
Interesting little beakers that, again, feels like it was unnecessary to have them if they were going to just be these simplistic polygons. Alright, so here comes the twist. And I'm hoping it's a slightly different twist. It could be the character that I would first guess, or it could be a totally new character. Either way. There's a lot of room for a whole bunch of different characters if you're gonna start rattling off things like Faith's parents, Faith's sister, any other runner that Faith knows. This might be.
What are they doing here?
Here we can see clear brain manipulation.
Moving contact here. If you can't come up, right at click.
So this might be a case where we end up getting evidence against Kruger in this plot to brainwash people, and then we become enemy number one throughout the rest of the game, which means we might lose the calm open world environment that we've been enjoying up until this point, and we may start seeing a lot more Kruger-sec security everywhere. Again, not really necessary to have these kinds of battles. If that's the effort you're going to put into it, just all the exact same color and basic shapes. Maybe they're brainwashing runners in particular. And we're fairly far behind the... Here we can see our reflection again. Although, I really feel like they should just give us a full reflection. We're fairly far behind where the other person was. This might be where we get the tattoo. Is that the information may just be straight up encoded into a tattoo in your arm. I don't know why you'd want to investigate this after clearly they're capable of violence and knocking people out.
Results we're seeing from every facility.
That's good to hear, Mr. Rydo. We've been... What the...
This will be interesting if we just get to watch something happen and are a witness to Kruger.
Deal with him.
This is Director Mira. We have a code blue. Dr. Hill is...
So is this bodyguard girl
What do you mean?
some kind of robot? They say him. And looks to me like he's got some kind of knife, although I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's a he.
I need him alive. What was that in his hand?
So he's suicide pilled.
What a waste. Where's that thing? Stop her!
Like, why steal it?
Building lockdown sequence initiated. Lockdown will be completed in 60 seconds.
Faith, are you there?
How important is it to steal?
Where you can. We'll take it from there.
And now we see Rangers shooting actual gun. Use transversal to build focus shield. Focus shield lets you dodge bullets. Which does seem like that's going to be a thing now. Alright. I don't know if I've hit the right place. Like,
Try to get out. Fight if you have to, but get out of there. Icarus, see what you can do to help.
and there you have another Mirror's Edge thing of seeing in the mirror, and they're really doing the whole idea too often. I'm getting knocked into windows. Or electric things is a little too much. Notice how they are specifically trying to there we go. A short escape experience that they had to put a lot of the non-gun carrying items, non-gun carrying characters to balance out, because had all of those been Rangers, that would have been too much.
On alert. The grid is on fire. Whatever you did really stirred the nest, Faith. I've been telling you for years, we don't do runs against Kruger Sec. And then what's the first thing you do when you get out? I don't know why I bother.
It does feel like the grid itself may be run by some level of artificial intelligence, instead of just people reporting that they see runners, or they see Faith, or that there is an alarm being set off. In a lot of ways, you're still running in the exact same area. It's just the music and the storyline makes it feel like it's a lot more important. Yeah. And that gave me 750 experience compared to saving someone for about 100 experience. So it's clearly obvious that you want to move the story forward as much as possible. And we have a couple basic kits, but doesn't seem like you can even get them. And so we should probably just see this cutscene through.
What the hell, Faith?
It's good to see you too.
If you keep this up, I swear you'll be dead in a month.
All's well that ends well. I got this.
This isn't from here.
Neither was the guy who had it. He died for it. Could be worth enough to solve things with Dogen.
Yeah, or enough to see us dead. Anything having to do with Gabriel Kruger, we need to stay miles away from. I'm inclined to send it back to him. Did Kruger see you?
He saw someone. Too dark to see much at all. Look, I thought that this would be a...
No,
Feels like
Jen,
the cutscene is
you
back to
never do.
daytime.
But I need to figure out what to do with this. In the meantime, try not to get yourself killed, okay? I already lost you once.
He almost feels like a father that more than
36 gone.
like a potential
Thank
friend
you.
or boyfriend.
Would be nice.
I'm gonna get some sleep.
Almost wondered if Icarus is a spy too.
That if we don't stop them now,
Interesting flashback.
our lives. I said step back.
You see something like this in the first game, but it is very brief.
Not now, honey. I have to finish this.
You definitely don't see the parents or the mother. So this flashback is better.
You'll be safe in here. Just stay put.
Faith, I'm
So there is a sister.
Let us go, Kruger. You should have cooperated.
This is way better animated.
Mommy.
So we do know Kruger is the bad guy and the main bad guy.
Is your future.
there's something wrong with the kind of feudalistic mentality of runners, children being forced to become runners themselves, but it's not like you have much of a choice in this dystopian society. But it's also disingenuous.
Nomad? Where are you?
I got my hands on a glitch mod, which should work with your beat link. I've sent you a copy. You can use it to get through the fans at Zephyr. Try it out and come meet me. We have a situation.
Okay, so we move the story forward. Faith slept here. The brother I never had. So this is where she chose to sleep, so you almost assume that that is her bunk. It's a, as I started to say, it's a very disingenuous, very disingenuous idea to say that corporations are very different from what a government would be. You could easily be playing this exact same story, and Kruger could be the elected president of a democratic government, or something that at least pretends to be a democratic government. We now seem to have some different ways to go as far as dashes. And then seems to me like we probably will unlock a few more safe houses. I don't think we've actually walked into this safe house or this safe house. And we could fast travel to them, and that's almost certainly what is going to happen in the game, is that we will be at some late point in the game just encouraged to run around and fast travel between safe houses. I'm just kind of tripping over myself. And he's just standing here and just isn't going to talk to you.
I thought you learned some restraint while you were away.
Here you have even some wall climbing elements. That's interesting. So we probably will see this as an element later on in the world. If not, then that's just an experiment they tried and decided against it. It'd be kind of hard to have runner's vision highlight those dots. Alright, it's not the pause menu, it's the map menu. We do have a ability we can unlock, and it's probably going to get to a point where it makes sense to upgrade your damage. I just don't 100% believe that you can live without that. Meanwhile, quick turn and coil would be very useful for runs, but without the item that without the grapple item, I don't think you're going to do a lot of running. So we need to finish Mischief Maker, Benefactor, Savant for the mag rope, Sanctuary. So it is probably best just to go with heavy damage against opponents' backs, or just increased damage in general. I think you go increased damage in general. We need about 250 XP, roughly, to upgrade any more. We don't have an upgrade point. Like, in the missions now, we have gotten one surveillance recording, one surveillance, one document. Apparently we haven't done any runs or side missions according to this map. And then, yeah. It is weird, but somewhat believable that the world would have changed so drastically from when Faith was a little girl to now, but it's not that unbelievable, and that probably is in part the storyline idea of her being in jail for a while to see how the world has gotten maybe even a little bit different or a little bit worse. Technology may have been rapidly developed as far as the grid link and all of that, and these could have easily been a kind of dystopian government-run society. I'm saying the word dystopian far too often. And then the corporations took over in her lifetime, and Kruger was able to take over. Yeah. And it does seem like we would just stay out of this area for a while, and we'll go this way area. I wouldn't be surprised if Mischief Maker does set us up to a new safe house, and then we start playing generally out of this region. And we may find that of each of these regions, there isn't that much going on. Of course, that upgrade that would show what the grid leaks are would be very helpful, and it kind of doesn't feel like there would be anything for the other collectibles. So we may, if we are going to try and get all the collectibles, have to just be very thorough about it, or have some kind of map. And almost expect the game to give you a map of all the chips, security chips and collectibles in an area. Otherwise, this will be one of those scenarios in one of those games where we may hit something like Concord Plaza or Centurion Yards, and it may say there are like 1 out of 3 surveillance recordings collected, and then I would have to look up an online map to see where those 3 security recordings are, and then use an online map to overlay the actual gameplay map, which that would definitely be a failure as far as the way things would work. It'd be a failure as far as the way the map works. Alright, well, we're gonna end, I think, a little bit early here, and just end this recording now, even though it's 5 minutes early. That is a very nice place to wrap up. Storyline, we didn't get any big reveal. The security, the spy was apparently just some guy, not Faith's sister, although we did see Faith's sister in the better flashback. Like, I definitely would say the flashback is better in that it is showing the parents that existed, and like showing that those are Faith's parents and that what happened to them, instead of it just being kind of nebulously referenced in the first game. Also, I think the scar on the security guard's hand may be an indication of one of the characters. Like the guy who's giving you all the quests that looks older. Like, he may have been that Kruger security guard. Or he might be somebody important later on. Clearly the scar is important. What you'd almost expect in a game like this is that you would have to strengthen yourself and take down other corporations and work your way up to Kruger Sec. But that could get a little too repetitive. And the story does feel like it's moving fairly quickly, and the achievements feel like they're moving fairly quickly, so I wouldn't be surprised if we are going to finish the story a lot faster than it might seem we would. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.